Hi, my name is Francois Nordia and I am a super teacher. And this is Super Teachers Unite, the show that is all about motivating, inspiring and supporting teachers. In today's episode, we'll be talking about how you as a teacher can be a better mentor to student teachers that come and intern at your school. But before we jump into this episode, thank you very much to the Teacher Magazine and to John Vermeulen and his entire team for sponsoring this episode, but more about that at the end of this video. Let's just jump right into it. What can you do as a mentor teacher to assist the interns or the student teachers that come and teach at your school? We know that typically in the third term, all the fourth year students tend to go out for their extended WIL experience. WIL, of course, is the acronym that we use for Work Integrated Learning in South Africa. That is the time when teachers go and do their schooling practice. They go out and practically gain some experience in schools. Now, according to the policy documents, Mr. Tech, the minimum requirements for teacher education, it is required of students during their training to do at least a minimum of 20 to 22 weeks of preparation and in practice, in service learning whilst they obtain their degree. Without that, they cannot qualify to become teachers. But now, in my experience in working with student teachers, I've realized that it's not the most easy time out in schools. And I thought what I'd do is during this episode is to share some tips on what we can do to assist student teachers. Now I know teachers have got a lot on their plate and there's a lot of admin and there's the teaching and the children and the discipline and now the added stress of accommodating a student as a mentee in your class is now added to that. But I know super teachers do not have a problem. Super teachers are willing to become mentors because we know we need to build capacity. We need teachers in the next generation that would maybe one day replace us when we are old and don't want to teach 100% all of the time anymore. We want competent teachers to follow us up. And we want competent teachers and super teachers to be our colleagues. So the best way in doing that is to mentor a student teacher. Now, typically what happens, and I think this would be my first tip, is be present. It happens so many times, and I mean, I even did that when I was inexperienced and just had my first student teacher. We look forward to this time to have a student teacher in our class because what we can do is we can dump our teaching on these students and then we can have time for all of our admin. And this is a trap. I do not think that's what is meant by being a mentor. Let's be present. Let's be in our classes and assist these student teachers as much as possible. Now, I don't say we should give over our entire class to these students and just give them free rein. But if we are present and we scaffold and we assist these students, I think there could be a nice mutual relationship that builds between a mentor and a mentee that could be beneficial for both parties. So please, 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 please do not abandon your student teacher with all of your teaching and all of your marking and then go and sit in the staff room and drink tea and have fun with your other colleagues, or then just I know we want to go and do our other admin because you'd like to have more time at home, but I don't think this is the reason for being a mentor or for having student teachers. So my first tip then would be let's be present, but not only in a physical form, but let's be present mentally as well. Let us assist them with lesson development, with their lesson plans, with conceptualization of lessons, and let's really apply our minds to what could be best practice and show off these great pedagogies that we have and these great methodologies that we have so that these students can really learn from super teachers. But now with that, and this is the second tip, we need to give feedback. And that could be a very, very daunting prospect if you're the one receiving feedback from a super teacher. So let's think about providing more positive feedback and not necessarily use the word criticism, even though it's important to criticize each other's work and become part of a community of practice. When we give feedback, it is so important to give positive and constructive feedback while also offering advice on how teachers and student teachers can improve. Now, there's a nice method that I like to use when I give feedback to student teachers. And in general, when I do my coaching with teachers, I use this as well. My English data. Anyway, so this method is often referred to as the sandwich method. And basically what it means is you first start off with a layer of positive reinforcement, acknowledging the positives of the lesson or of the interaction. And after you've acknowledged the positivity, the things that really worked well, you layer all of the, maybe not all, but you layer the negativities, the aspects on which a student can improve after you've given them some positive feedback. So the areas of improvement then come after the positive comments that you've made. And then just before you send the student on their way, you end off with something positive as well. It's so important to not break a student teacher's mood or to break them down whilst giving them feedback. The whole idea is for them to reflect on the feedback that you've given and then to improve their practice. So just once more, the sandwich method: positive, the criticisms or areas to improve, and positive again. Excellent. I really hope that you as a mentor teacher would be able to provide constructive feedback to students. Third tip: share the teaching and administrative responsibilities. I've said this as part of the first tip, but do not give the student all of your marking and all of your mundane work to do. It is so important that students also get to know the administrative side of being a teacher. But to expect of them to know from the get-go what is expected of them from an administrative point of view is irresponsible. What we need to do is guide them through the process. If you spend the first week or two in really investing in assisting the student teacher, they would be able to take responsibility and work autonomously down the line. So be sure to share your teaching as well as share your administrative load. Don't just only dump all of it on them, or as many teachers do, don't trust them enough and then don't let them do anything. I think we should strike a nice balance between these two. Work together in a collegial spirit with the student teacher. And speaking about that, the fourth tip: treat your student teachers as colleagues, as full-fledged colleagues in the profession. It often happens, and I don't think it's intentionally, but we create this image that student teachers are lesser than fully fledged teachers. And we do this by introducing student teachers to the children in the classroom as being student teachers. It often happens when teachers introduce them, they would say, "Children or learners, we have got a student teacher that will be with us for the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks." Immediately, just by introducing them as student teachers, you are already diminishing some of their authority. Now, there's some debate to have whether it's okay for children to know this, but we really want to bolster the reputation of these teachers and assist them. It's already difficult coming into a school as a new teacher or as a strange teacher, and then to treat them as lesser colleagues. I don't think it serves in the best purpose or in the best interest of the purpose. So if we treat student teachers like fully fledged colleagues, especially in front of the learners, we're already assisting them. But of course, we want to make these students feel welcome, and we want them to do internships at our schools. So by treating them like fully fledged colleagues, they would be able to feel welcome, and they would, from their side, most likely do more and want to contribute to your classes and to the school. So a few things you can do is invite them to the staff meetings, include them in your arrangements of activities at the school, and especially involve them in extramurals. Treat them as fully fledged colleagues. This is something that many teachers struggle with. And that is that they think that the relationship between a mentor and a mentee means that the mentor has all of this knowledge and they then have to depart this onto the mentee. But there is a lot that we can learn from student teachers. And we should use this opportunity. Many of us don't find the time to read up on the latest research or deal with resources that could be innovative. These students spend their entire academic time learning about new innovations in education. Ask your student teachers to tell you about the innovative or the new methodologies that they are learning about during their lectures, and see if you can't apply these pedagogies and these methodologies to your lessons and see if your lessons don't improve. And this way we get to learn from one another. And then lastly, empathy goes a long way. I'm sure many of you can remember your time doing your teaching practice and being a student teacher in a mentor's class. Let's never forget the challenges that we went through, but also put ourselves in the shoes of the student teachers and imagine what it would be like being a student teacher today in the specific context. Now, I'm sure you don't even need to imagine when you have a conversation with these students. Build that relationship with the student teacher. Ask them what their unique context is. What are the things that they are struggling with so that you can assist them in that. Place yourselves in their shoes. I've recently heard a very nice explanation of what empathy actually entails. Now, many of us know the concept that empathy is like putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. But there's a little suffix to this explanation, and that is put yourself in someone else's shoes, but then realize that it could have been you. It's almost this externalization of putting yourself in their shoes and then really embodying and feeling that it could have been you. And what would you have done if that was you? So in short, those were just a few tips that I thought I'd share with all of the mentor teachers out there for the third term and maybe beyond whenever you deal with student teachers. I know it's not only the fourth year teachers, student teachers that you'll be interacting with. There are many first year students that's also in schools, and right through the academic progress, there's many students that could come to your classroom. Let's try and be super mentors. Let's be super teachers to these student teachers so that we can motivate, inspire, and support them to become the best possible teachers that they could be. Thank you so much to Teacher Magazine for sponsoring this episode of Super Teachers Unite. I am going to leave a link to the latest issue of the Teacher Magazine in the description of the show or of the podcast, and ensure that you click on it and go and read all of the wonderful articles that's going to support your teaching. And that's it for today's show. Make sure that if you like what we do here, that you share this with all of your friends on all of the many social media platforms so that we can unite all super teachers under one banner so that we can make a positive difference in each and every classroom. Until next time, my name is Francois Nordea and I am a super teacher.